Hello everyone, how you doing? Here we are, season 3, episode 11. And I have just returned from the most incredible weekend. I'm trying to hold on to the energy of just utter bliss. I just had my spiritual experience retreat, so spent the weekend with 19 other amazing souls, just experimenting, playing with spirit, and it was bloody awesome. It was so good. And I know I've said it before, but there's just something about time away from the real world, even though we're in a hotel with other muggles, but just time for us where all of the conversations don't need to be edited with the sort of hesitancy of, I don't know if you believe what I believe or anything like that. No worries about food because it's all catered. No worries about life or any of the things that we need to do, that never-ending to-do list. Just being with people and being in that mutual energy of people who really want you to do well, but also holding that space for others and wanting them to do well. And we had everything this weekend. It was so good. And I'm just floating around on a bit of a cloud, even though reality is fully here. Woken up in the night with water coming in where we're having our roof done. I feel like a crazy person. I keep walking around my house listening for drips and a bit of a drip sound expert now because I can tell whether it's landing in the bucket or hitting the floor, which is going to make another mark on one of the ceilings downstairs. So back to reality. Huzzah. Went on a dog walk today and got chatting to this lovely little old man who started telling me stories about when dogs attack, which was pretty low vibe as well, and you go, okay, thank you, bye, have a lovely day. And then you're just letting that go and trying to hold on to that magical feeling for just a little bit longer. So you never know how things are going to go when you're teaching. I always try to have a rough idea of what it is that we're going to do so that my human is comfortable. And then in that space, you kind of move into seeing what the group needs, what conversations we have, what people want to learn about, the questions, and working through that. So they always unfold in unexpected and miraculous ways. And we decided to do a spirit board, Ouija board, on the final night. And it was just incredible. I always think with Ouija boards, you're not going to get a full conversation, but just so amazing to me to witness the incredible cleverness of the spirit world, that they can, in a few words or a few sentences, get the messages and the evidence over to somebody and say what they need to say. I just find that miraculous. And when you get a different spirit coming in, how they move the, I would say planchette, but I'm not that posh. It's a shot glass for me. But how they move the shot glass around differently and they work differently. So there was one spirit that came through and she said who she was for. And then she said her name was Sue. And the recipient was like, okay, do I know you from it by any other name? And she then spelled out, I can't remember if it was Gran or Grandma or something like that. And that was really wonderful because he had forgotten. She was one of those old school ladies whose birth certificate name was Sue, but her given name that everybody else used was Sarah. And so that just for me was really evidential because there was no way we could have picked that up psychically and made that happen. He had forgotten that until that moment and then he pieced it together. And she was congratulating him because he's about to become a grandparent. So that's just flipping amazing. And then I said, oh, she's very hesitant, this one. It's like she's trying to work out the letters to use. And then he said that she had dyslexia. So even that hesitancy, there's me and my human going, well, this is weird. It doesn't feel like it's flowing as much, but that is evidential. Loved it. Bloody loved it. And so that was really, really good fun. And I watched some amazing students take their first steps into evidential mediumship, demonstrating, but in the kind of energy that I wish we could all be in whenever we demonstrate, which was just love and support and people cheering. God knows what the other people in the hotel thought as we were all whooping and just celebrating somebody giving it a go. I cried afterwards. It was just so wonderful. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of everybody. Anyway, so I had a rather epic weekend. I hope yours was too. And lots of things coming up in the conversations that we were having as a group. And this is why I love this podcast so much, because it's exactly the same thing. It's those collaborative energies of you guys asking your questions and giving your opinions and me answering and us just creating something new and learning together. And it brings me just so much joy. And as I was closing yesterday, I was working. So my lessons are sort of half me and what I know and half spirit and where they're guiding me to and what they want me to talk about. And that's always just incredible to sit in and unfold in. And I do think that's how it works for all of us. We just have to ask the questions and let the answers come and let spirit lead us to the answers that we seek. And one of the things that was coming up yesterday, which I just really loved and I just keep thinking about, is, you listen to this podcast, you know that I believe that anybody can do this. I don't believe that I have a gift. I don't believe that I am more special than somebody else. I really, really do not. But actually owning me as a gift is something new that came in yesterday in closing. So I said to everybody, I am not the best medium. And I'm not. I know I'm not. And there was a time when I was trying to be, not in a competitive way, but just in a validation way. I wanted to be on a level with other people so that I could validate myself, tell myself that I'm okay to be a medium, give myself permission to do this work. I'm not sure. There's always so much, isn't there, curled up in every single bit of resistance that we have, and we have to sort of unwind it all and unpick it all. And one of the wonderful ladies, Sue, who was on the course, she has been watching Life After Death with Tyler Henry on Netflix. Now, I love that show. If you've listened for a while, you will know that I absolutely really, really enjoyed that. But as we were closing, Spirit were talking to me about expectations and mediumship, which I was sharing with the group. And one of the things is that for a lot of us, our expectation of mediumship is absorbed through the media. And so I know that, I think my last podcast was my ranty podcast. But now we're talking about the other side of it, where it's the expectation from the media. And Spirit was saying on Tyler's show, quite rightly, depending on how you look at it, I'm not moaning about the setup. It is what it is. We want things to be interesting, exciting. But the sitters that were on his show will have been vetted. They will be people that are able to speak about their feelings and being able to have the vocabulary and the ability to share their emotional state way before they ever set in front of Tyler. So there is no way that they would have somebody on that show who was monosyllabic, who went, well, yeah, I suppose, when they were responding to him, because it wouldn't make good TV, would it? They want the people that go, oh my God, yeah, and bring that energy, because that's what's entertaining. That's why I loved it. That's probably why you loved it if you've watched it. And the other thing is, Tyler, because of his renown and the people who have fought to have a sitting with him and are excited to have this offer bestowed upon them, they bring a different energy, don't they? You come with it rather than when you're demonstrating mediumship out in the real world, where you're in a room full of people and half those people are bringing out, come on then and prove it, what you got energy. He is reading for people who are bringing out, oh my God, I'm seeing my hero energy. That's a very different space to work in. And he's got that, and that's fantastic, and he does really well with it. The problem is when we watch stuff like that and it makes us think that our mediumship should be on a par with that we should be able to achieve what he can achieve. The other thing that Spirit was saying was that show will have been edited, and so they're not going to show the bits of evidence in that when he's doing the readings that perhaps they didn't understand or that they didn't take or that didn't make sense afterwards, because that would be really boring to watch. So they'll have taken it out, and it's the best bits. We're seeing the best bits. And this sounds really bloody obvious, doesn't it? You're listening to this, I'm sure, going, well, yeah, obviously, Hannah, it was on TV. But somewhere along the line, inside of me, that became a level that I should be able to reach. And is it doing the same for you? Are you taking your first steps into platform mediumship and thinking that you should be able to reach the depths of evidence that he was reaching? Are you going for a reading, having watched Tyler Henry, thinking that that is the kind of evidence that you should be able to receive from a medium? And I'm not saying that that evidence doesn't exist, because I know that I've reached evidence as specific as he has, but not all the way through a reading. And the trouble is, when it's edited, all we are seeing are the bits that are taken. We are not seeing the bits where people are going, oh, not sure about that. The bits that we've got in the way of, or the bits that never land, the bits that never make sense. And it's just so interesting to sit with that and think about that. I know watching Medium and Ghost Whisperer made me think that one day I would be able to see dead people. And I can see lights coming in, and I can see auras, and I can see shapes, but I don't see them as a whole physical effigy yet. One day I would love to, but that just doesn't seem to be how my gifts work. I keep asking, but it doesn't seem to be happening. And of course, in the asking, we are waiting for it to happen. So we are looking at the lack of it happening. So we are creating resistance, which makes it harder to work. So it's so fascinating to look at your ideas of mediumship and sit with what you think makes good mediumship and where you are pushing yourself. Because you have to walk that tightrope line of pushing yourself to do better, but not letting the need to do better become the noose that ties around your neck that stops you being able to do better. It's such an energetic experiment. When you are receiving that information from the spirit world, as soon as you seek for it, you are not in your power. You are looking for information. You are working psychically. So in that kind of space, it's very, very hard to improve what you're getting, because to be able to expand to a new piece of evidence, you need to kind of seek for it. But then in the doing so, you are getting in the way and making it harder to receive it, and finding that space, that gap. I don't know what the answer is. Well, I do actually. Who am I kidding? They're telling me the answer. My poor spirit guides working with me. They are saying this is why we have to surrender to mediumship, and we have to celebrate where we are right now, and we have to look at every piece of information we get as wonderful, and not in that space of, well, that wasn't very specific, that wasn't good enough, I was expecting better than that. And being open to receiving in new and different ways, but without forcing it to tick a box within you, making your ego comfortable and feeling validated. Quite often when you watch mediums live, and it's something I'm always talking to my students about, it's really, really hard when you get something that somebody can't take and you go back to spirit. Now, sometimes when you go back to spirit and you say, what was that about a banana sheepdog? And they go, we have no idea. That came out of your mind. And you go, orcs, I don't know why. But sometimes when you go back to spirit and you say they can't take this, they go, no, you're right. It's exactly as it should be. And then you have to kind of fight that ego urge to go, I'm going to follow this piece of evidence. I'm going to make it stronger. You have to kind of find that balance where you try and say it a different way and you try and expand into it a different way and you try and get it to sit. But there is a point where you have to stop yourself becoming hypnotized by that one bit of evidence and your need to prove yourself right, because that can pull you out of your power. I'm full of it. I'm sorry, guys. I really am. It's been just such an epic weekend. It's hard to communicate. This podcast is making sense. Yeah, so much going on. Now I'm going to go back to what I was talking about initially before I went down the rabbit hole of TV mediumship and stuff like that, which is I do believe in gifts after yesterday, but in a different way. I don't believe that the gift is the ability to communicate with spirit, because I think we all have that. And there is an implication when we talk about gifts. It is something you have that others perhaps don't. Although, of course, gifts for all. But actually, your real power as a medium comes in what you are good at, what you feel you are particularly gifted at. So for me, it's not my mediumship. It's not my ability to communicate with the spirit world. I think my gift is talking. My gift is being able to share with people what's going on with me, what's going on, what I'm getting from spirit. It's the ability to speak. That is my gift. So there are mediums out there that are better mediums than me, that have better evidence than me, better connection than me, better ability to communicate than me. And there's no shame in that. Because if you come to see me at a demonstration, hopefully it will be lots of fun. There'll be lots of laughter. And so my ability to talk, my personality is my gift. And the mediumship is part of that. Absolutely. It's a massive part of who I am as a person. But what are you denying yourself about your abilities in the need to validate your gift as a medium? What actually is it about you that is special? And that will be something in your very humanness. Do you attract people to you in their moments of need for kind words and wisdom? Are you funny? Do you make people laugh? Do you have an ability to cut through all the noise and see things as they truly are? What aspects of you are the gift? And why are you not embracing those and celebrating those? Why do we turn away from them? You will know if you've listened to this podcast for quite some time. It's so funny, the journey, because as you know, I didn't speak to spirit when I was little, although of course now I realise I was, but at the time I didn't realise I was. It wasn't irrefutable, massive, conscious energy in front of me, tangible, that I could touch and see and experience. I fell into this through my need. Now, I have no doubt that spirit gently edged me down this path, but I chose it. It's something I want. If I turned away from it tomorrow, they would respect that. Absolutely. So when I was younger, I was always a talker. I was always a presenter. I always wanted to share information. I've always had that. I always stood in front of my school and did assemblies and tried to educate them and talk to them about things. I have always been a talker, and a good talker, a good speaker, a good reader. When my mum and dad moved house and I went to a new school, I was so good at reading that they put me in the sort of, school presentation thing for new parents. But I'd only been at the school a few weeks. My mum always talks about it. The person that taught me to read so well is my mum. And then you look at my family dynamic and the fact that we do talk a lot and we do express a lot and we do have our feelings and our emotions and we do have great vocabulary and we do discuss and chat and all talk over each other. And there's a lot of chit chat in my family. And actually, how much of that was predestined by my soul and chosen to make me a good speaker? I wonder. And so what is it about you that you are perhaps not embracing, not a double negative after I've just been talking about being a good orator, surely, but what is it that you are not accepting is part of your power, which is denying part of who you are? Are you super positive? Are you able to see the potential in every person? Is being around you like being in sunshine? Because if it is, don't ignore that. Don't turn away from it and pretend that's just something that anyone could do. Embrace it, absorb it, be part of it, be present with it. Fill yourself up with it. Because that is where the expansion happens, is in the accepting the good bits of you. The bits that are special in you that aren't the disempowered, this is what spirit can do and this is what I can do with spirit, but the bits that are just you. The bits you came here to be. If you're massive on facts and figures and dates, that can be a superpower. And it's important and vital. I'm grateful. I mean, sometimes it annoys me all the time, but I'm grateful for my husband and his ability to see numbers in the way that he does and cut through all of the noise in my over-communicative mind of talk and this and I want to do this and I want to be here and I want to do this and I want to experience that, and just say, well, here's the bottom line. That is a gift to me, a necessary gift to me. And this podcast has helped me become a better medium, because in the starting and the allowing myself to talk and the flow and the vulnerability of hitting record where you don't really know what you're going to talk about or where it's going to go, but you just trust that the spirit world will bring you the inspiration that you need, that you can start talking, has changed me. It's changed my ability to teach mediumship. It's changed my ability to do mediumship. But that has come from not an external thing that was given to me by spirit, but from me sitting and using this gift with you. So it's something to think about, isn't it? That kind of idea that actually what we need to be doing for our advancement is embracing the bits of us we already have, rather than seeking something external or change within us to make us better, more palatable, or what we are telling ourselves we need to be. I have always liked performing, being on a stage and being heard. Now there's a part of me as I say that goes, ew, because of societal judgment and judgment on myself. Oh, you're such a show-off. Could you just keep it down a bit, please? But what if that is the biggest part of who I am and is my biggest gift? And what if I need to fully, wholeheartedly embrace that so that my mediumship can get better? And where are you denying that for yourself? I often say, and you will often hear me say, that I didn't know I was going to be a medium because I didn't. And that I kind of fell into spirituality and mediumship, which I did. And that's fine. But when people talk to me and they say, you know, they could I see it in a path through my life? I couldn't when I was doing it. But when I look back, I think, bloody hell, that's what that was for. That's what that was for. That's why I've always been like this. So it's such a great thing to go back and experience it. There's been quite a few challenges, for want of a better word, absolute shitstorms that I have manifested for myself in my healing journey and my energy journey. And although at the time they were painful and difficult and heartbreaking and arduous and distracting from the spirit within, I'm so grateful for those lessons now. Because when I am working as a healer, and I believe that all mediumship is healing, whether you are doing a spirit connection or whether you are pulling cards or whether you are doing the actual act of healing somebody, there is the act of it, but underneath that is the frequency of truth and my soul recognizing your soul, and an energetic exchange that happens beyond the spoken word. And if you are a healer, you'll probably recognize that your clients, although it won't be exactly the same, there is similar energy in your paths. The people that come to you for healing will have had experiences similar to yours, so that when you sit and talk to them about it, you're not just repeating information, but you are vibrating at the frequency of that information and your own overcoming of it, your own knowledge, your energy knowledge of the situation you've been in. And that's where the real change is. Prove me wrong. Go on. But I absolutely believe that's where the energy changes. I often get clients that have got self-doubt, huge amounts of potential, just gigantic, but they're denying themselves it. They're turning away from their potential. They're being polite. They don't like to ask. They don't like to take. They want to just give, which is a disempowerment, just wanting to give all the time, just to be clear. They're always my peeps, but that's because that's where I have spent the majority of my 42 years on this planet. And it's something I'm still working on. So it's not that I've perfected this by any stretch of the imagination, but it is that I can talk about it and really allow someone to sit in the energy of it. I can understand where they're at, and I can speak to them and say, the only person that can push you through this is you, and you've got to take that step. And it's not that I necessarily always take every step that is offered to me. It's not that I don't get in the way, because sometimes I do. But it is about showing that sometimes I have been able to overcome that, and then being able to sit in it and feel that, not just what I'm saying, but the vibration of the truth of me. So the sooner you start accepting the parts of you that make you you, and understanding that they are the gifts and they are the part of you that is sacred and special and wonderful and unique, and that they will be part of your spiritual gifts too, the sooner you will evolve and expand and grow into the medium that you can be. Don't look at what everybody else is doing. Look at what you can do well. And if you want to change things up from the status quo, my God, we need you. Do it. We need mediums working in new and exciting and different ways. Because just like all the questions that I got this weekend that have led me to create this podcast, in that opening up to the newness and that finding a different way of doing things, there will be the expansion for you and the inspiration for others to do the same. Wow. Right. That's it. I'm done. I hope you have enjoyed the podcast, and I hope it's resonated. Please, as always, pop me over an email, let me know what you think, and I will catch up with you again tomorrow.